Listen to this clip, you can hear how high-pitched the higher frequencies sound. Take a listen. It's almost painful to listen to. So what we can do is apply an EQ effect called a low-pass filter, which will let all the lows pass through but stop all the highs. So we can do that very easily. So go to the Effects tab here, and under Audio Effects, we have a low-pass filter. So I'm going to click and drag this to my audio here, and then let's just hear what it sounds like by the defaults. So as you can tell, all of the high frequencies have been taken out and only the lows are allowed to go through. Now, if you want to adjust this, you can. Let's go over to the effects controls over here, and you can see we have our low pass filter applied, and there's a bypass if you want to shut it off, which sounds like this. I'll toggle the check box here while we play it. And then there's a cutoff of the hertz rate. Now, human hearing, it ranges from 20 hertz being a low frequency and 20,000 hertz being a high frequency. So the cutoff, it's saying, is at 1,373 about hertz. So that's very, I'd say, mid-rangey. So that's kind of a, if you click on the caret, you can see where it is in the spectrum, what frequency is being cut out. So anything over to the left is being let in, where everything over to the right is being cut out. So I'll switch back and forth and you can hear the difference. So this is letting in all of the frequency. It's like I don't even have this filter on at all. But if I bring it over to the left, we start cutting out all of the frequencies to the left, or lower from this point. So you can lower it as much as you want, but be careful. If you lower it too much, you start going outside of our hearing spectrum or whatever your speakers can play back. So if we just wanted to cut out, originally it was set in the middle, and I thought it was a little too muffly sounding, too bassy sounding. I want to add a little more high frequency in there. Let's try 2500. And that's still okay in my ears. It's not painful, but it's not as clear as I want it to be, so we'll go a little higher. And there we go. Now we're starting to let in more of the lower and mid frequencies, but not letting the high frequencies go through. So now that we've talked about the low pass filter, letting the low frequency come through and cutting off the highs, let's talk about the high pass filter, which is the opposite. It lets the highs through, but cuts out the lows. So here's my high pass filter here. I'll click that and drag it to this clip. And again, we're going to be letting the highs go through and cutting out all the lows. Let's take a listen. So all we're hearing right now are the high frequencies. And I think I'm going to have to be making some adjustments. So I will double click my clip, load it up here, go to Effect Controls, and you can see I have the high pass filter on here. And again, I have the same cutoff, and it's set at right in the middle of 1373. So anything to the left of here is coming through is being cut out, whereas before it was being let in. So let's think about this being cut out, and then everything over to the right is being let in. Let's take a listen as I toggle through. And again, if you go too far, too drastic in the direction of the pass, then you're going to start cutting out all the frequencies and nobody will be able to hear it. Next, I want to talk about a plugin called Reverb, which is not going to be used too much, but it's good to know where it is and how to use it. So I have this clip here. Let's take a look and a listen. Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives you audio sync. So the sound we currently have is very clean and very dampened because this is being shot in a studio. So what if we wanted to add some more kind of spatial entity to the current sound? Well, we can do that very easily over in our audio effects bin. Here we have reverb. So I'll click, drag this over, and let go. Now I'm not going to adjust the reverb at all. I'm just going to hear what it sounds like as the default. Press play.
Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives you audio sync when you're doing...
What a world of difference. It sounds like it's being shot inside of a concrete room now. So let's go ahead and edit the parameters of our reverb. I'll double click the clip, go to my effects tab here, and you'll find that the reverb has been applied there. We have a bypass like we did on the high pass and low pass filters. We have a custom setup here, and we have individual parameters here. Let's take a look at the individual parameters. The individual parameters are going to be the settings that you can change within this filter. And we have pre-delay, absorption, size, density, low damp, high damp, and the mix. The mix is going to be a mix of the wet and dry sound, or the affected and unaffected sound. So we're taking the original sound that we hear from this clip and mixing it with the new filtered sound. So we have a 66% mix right now. So I'll just go ahead and change this. If we click on the caret, it'll expand down here and we can crank it up. So we can say 100% reverb. Let's take a listen to this.
Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives you...
So that's 100% reverb on the current settings. We haven't changed any settings. I'll press play and I'll lower this down so you can hear the difference.
Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives you audio sync when you're doing outboard audio. It has the information necessary, like rolls.
So let's think about this mix thing as kind of like an on-off fader so that you can adjust between full on and full off. So that's a good way to think about it. So I'll just bring this back to 66 where it was originally. Let's check out size here. Under size, we can change the size of the room. So right now it's at a 29% room. And this doesn't really make any relevant sense because we don't say that this room is a 29% sized room. But it's just trying to put a number on it for you. So let's press play and I'll increase this and you can hear the difference. So bring this back, press play.
Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives you audio sync when you're doing outboard audio. It has the information necessary, like roll, scene, take, the director of the camera.
So if you go really high, obviously, it starts sounding like it's been shot inside of a cathedral or something. You need to be careful about how much reverb you introduce to the scene. So we'll just go back here, about 50%, press play.
Old school clapboard, your T-Slate, which gives...
So it sounds like he's talking from a large stage, and that's kind of a cool effect. But again, you want to use this sparingly. Feel free to go into the other parameters and check to see what they do. But basically, mix and size gives you so much control over creating and forming your own reverberation on top of clips.